What's up guys, Dishsoap here, back with another tier list. Currently rank 1, all you need to know. Playing in NA Regionals in like a week, and here to show you guys the best comps in this patch. The comps that I think are S tier and consistent are Renegade Jhin, Oxford Spellslingers, Heart Lulu Reroll, for A tier comps, a bunch of different Duelist variations. I'll talk about each one. InfiniTeam, Mascot Vex, Lasercorps Warwick, and Gadgeteen Gnar. And for the two comps that I think, I don't know where I'd place them. They're probably like between A and S tier, but they're like pretty niche. Quickdraw Ezreal, Heart Flex, I guess. So to start things off, we have Renegade Jhin. In the last patch, both Viego and Jhin got pretty big buffs. Also, like the meta has kind of shifted and people have discovered the power of Shiv Morgana. I'll be talking about this in a lot of different comps actually. So basically a Shiv Morgana, her passive says when Morgana deals damage, she sunders and shreds them. That passive procs off of like the Shiv damage. So like the chain lightning effect that Shiv does, it procs her passive. So it's like basically just the best way you can spread Last Whisper in the entire game. Right now, a lot of people are opting not to build Last Whisper and building Shiv for early game tempo so that they can free up an item on their carry and two, just have a better early game. So you're gonna see Shiv Morgana utilized a lot here. But basically in this Jhin Viego comp, the only units that are core, I would say, are Jhin, Viego, Pyke, Vex, and Alistar. It's gonna give you 3 Riftwalker, 3 Renegade, and then Mascot, Oxforce. And then you have 3 open slots. One of the open slots has to be a tank. Most of the time it's Echo. Echo's the best option because it gives you Aegis with Alistar. But you can also do Garen and Aatrox, both are fine. And then you have 2 more slots. You can fill them with like legendaries, but personally I prefer to go Shiv Morgana, and then I like to run Acel just for some anti-heal and also just another unit you can itemize. This comp is really, really good when you can push like levels. Probably the best fast 8 comp in the game, but if you're low rolling and stuck on level 7, I would not recommend because you do need Jhin 2 and Viego 2. I would probably try to itemize Jhin first, then a tank, and then Viego or Acel in that order, and maybe get a Shiv Morgana as well. Next comp, it's pretty much been played the entire set, but it's 4 Ox, 4 Spell TF. Pretty basic. I actually think you don't really want to go for take items in this comp. I prefer just going TF and Nico items. I usually prio TF items first. I try to build Shiv over everything else. I like Shiv, Gunblade, and then either Guardbreaker or GS and TF. Probably my preferred items. Nico items matter a lot less. Like you can be, you don't have to be picky with her items at all. You can even do like sometimes like Morello on her for some more anti-heal. You can do Deathcap or Archangel, just whatever you have left over. It doesn't really matter. As long as she has items, she'll pop off with pretty much anything. And then if you can get Echo too, tank items go on Echo, but sometimes you just have to put it on Annie. If you have extra components, after the Viego buff, it doesn't even feel bad stacking Viego. If you just get random items from like late game carousels, you can make it work with some random garbage like this. Like he actually does work. And if you hit like a Viego 2 before you hit Nico 2, consider itemizing Viego over Nico. He pops off for sure. Next consistent S tier comp I want to talk about, Super Lulu Hearts. Basically, you want to be like loose streaking early game, rolling on 3-1 for a bunch of Lulus and Pantheons. You don't want to go to 0. It's, you know, like I don't think you want to hyper roll this comp. Roll on to 30 and then slow roll stage 3. The best item in this comp is Spark. I try to get Spark before I can go any other item. But after Spark, it's going to be Blue Buff Lulu and then Gunblade Lulu and then just tank items on Pantheon. But make sure you are building Spark every game in this comp. It's the most important item. I don't actually think third Lulu item matters that much. I actually prefer going like TGGP over like JG, for example, because with 4 Heart and 3 Supers, Lulu already starts one-shotting stuff without even her third item. Like obviously you want to get a third item eventually. It's usually just like GS or Guardbreaker or JG or something, but consider like itemizing GP with like TG before. Once you hit Panth, Lulu, and GP3, you can either roll for Lee Malphite or you can just push levels for like Alistar, Echo, Vi if it's like an AP lobby. If it's not an AP lobby, you can just do like full legendary at 9 or something if you're really high rolling. And I guess Syndra over some garbage like this. Like it doesn't really matter. Just play whatever you hit. The main stuff is just the your level 5, level 6 board. Important thing to note is that I think when you're slow rolling level 5, I prefer to play Sona for 4 Heart over Super. If you don't want to be 3 stars, but like once you get like a couple 3 stars, Super's probably better. But yeah, that's about it for Panth Lulu Reroll. Definitely S tier this patch. And next is we're gonna have like a lot of different Duelist variations. Obviously, you're not going to get all these items, but I think you can play Duelist with like 5 different carries depending on your hero augment. I'll try to go through everyone. I guess we'll go lowest cost to highest cost. I would only play Kayle with her carry hero augment. She's not playable without it. I'm gonna play basically the same playstyle as Lulu Reroll. Just roll down on 3-1 for a bunch of Kayles and GPs. This Kayle's gonna be like DB, Less Whisper, and then +1, usually just like a GS or something. And then you want like Lockets on Nyla. Locket Nyla is like BIS for all of these Duelist comps. Definitely try to save some chains and rods for them. There is a GP carry augment that just got buffed recently, but I still don't think it's that good. But then we have Yasuo carry. They did nerf it last patch, but it's still good. You actually want to play supers with Yasuo and not 6 duelists. He's the only one you want to play supers with, just because his skill doesn't benefit off of attack speed at all. So you actually want like the flat damage from supers. This is just going to be QSS, healing, plus damage. If you can get like this full crit build, it's pretty nice, but it's not required. And yeah, you just slow roll on 6 for Yasuo and supers. Pretty standard. Then there's going to be Fiora carry with her augment. I think she's worse than both Kayla and Yasuo, but like, say on 2-1, you start with like 3, you start with like a Fiora 2, it might be worth considering. Her Biss is gonna be like, I don't know if Warmogs is Biss. It's just QSS Titans +1. You can go like BT, you can go Warmogs. Honestly, you might even be able to get away with like Sunfire or Spark just for tempo. And then you want to play like probably 6 duelists, 2 Oxforce. Maybe level for like 4 Oxforce later. I don't think she's good at winning the lobby, but she can definitely like if you have like early Fiora 2, she can super win streak your early game, and then you could play for a top 4 pretty easily. Next one is gonna be Spread Shot Vayne. Just play with 6 duelists. Biss is gonna be DB, IE, Shojin. I think with Duelist version, I would prio DB and IE before Shojin, and then maybe like last item I would settle for like, I don't know, like a guard breaker instead, because it might be hard to get 4 swords in the game. Yeah, Spread Shot's really good. If you get Vayne 3, you can definitely win the game. Just slow roll 6 duelist, plus probably just plus Oxforce on 7, slow roll for Vayne 3. Good comp. And then we just have like TF carry with 8 duelist. Just pure tempo, not relying on hero augment. I would play this when like you're just having a win streak duelist opener. Maybe you started the game with like Locket and you were just lock it with like a duelist +1. You can go like 8 duelists late game and just like duo carry Vayne and TF. Definitely like the most like top 4 way to play the comp, because you're not relying on any broken hero augments, but it's still playable. All of them are like pretty equal. I'd say the best ones are probably Kale and Yasuo. And I mean, I guess Spread Shot's good as well. Like Kale, Yasuo, and Spread Shot. All right, next up, we have InfiniTeam. I don't really like this without the spat that much. It's a good like early mid game board if you don't have spat. Like a lot of times before you can hit maybe Mac or some legendaries, just running 5 InfiniTeam without the spat can be good. But if you ever want to commit to it late game, you probably really want the spat. This is just the standard 7 InfiniTeam board. Just copying a Garen, copying probably Ezreal backline ideally. If you can get Ezreal too, you can carry Ezreal, but it's much easier to hit Samira, so like 90% of the time you're gonna carry Samira. Late game, you can drop Panth, drop Lucian for like your Fiddle, your Urgot, like a second Fiddle, I don't know. And just, yeah, like a 9. Yeah, that's where you cap your board, but on like a level 8 roll down, it's fine to play 7 InfiniTeam if they're all upgraded. And if you hit your board, it's definitely, you can play for top 2, top 1. Probably like A tier though, because it's a little inconsistent, and if you don't hit your 2 stars, you're gonna be weak. Next A tier comp is gonna be Vex Reroll. Very similar to the Renegade Riftwalker board, but instead we're just playing mascots and Vex. Personally, I only play like this version of the board if I get like a mascot spat. I think if I don't get a mascot spat, I'm probably just gonna pivot into like some version of this board and maybe carry like a soul with my tier items. Like I remake Vex, like carry Asol and just build some like a board more similar to this. But if you have the mascot spot, definitely consider going 6 mascot, rolling on 7 for Vex 3, Pike 3, Malphite 3, sometimes Morgana 3. Biss Vex is gonna be blue buff Archangel +1. Last item can be literally anything. GS good, like Death Cap is fine, second Archangel's fine, Guard Breaker's fine, JG's fine. Malphite items, you just want tank, yeah, like Stoneplate. If you have Spark, you don't have to run Morgana. You can also do like Mascot Aatrox, that's an option if you hit an early Aatrox and have extra tank items, or maybe you're like super far off Malphite 3. Like say you have a Spark, you're super far off Malphite, you can go like Aatrox with Spark, Mascot, and like Warmogs maybe. Definitely an option. But yeah, play around 6 Mascot, slow roll on 7. If you hit Vex 3, probably play for top 2. Good comp. Next comp I want to talk about is Lasercorps. This is another comp that uses Shiv Morgana really, really well, because we utilize both AD and magic damage. So like the Shiv magic pin is really good for all like the laser drone procs, and putting Shiv on Morgana like helps spread Last Whisper so Warwick can kill some stuff. In the laser version, I like going for like this weird defensive Warwick build, but honestly, you can go for like an AD build as well if that's just what you hit. I think GA is probably his best item though. Would probably try to prio that. But yeah, I like defensive Warwick and 6 laser, just to keep him alive for the drones. So to win the game with this comp, you need AP items on Mordekaiser, or like to even top 2 with this comp, you need AP items on Mord. But you're not gonna build any AP items for early mid game. On like late game Amels and stuff, make sure to try to take these AP items. That's actually a way you can cap out this board a lot. Yeah, just play as many lasers as you can, at least 4. Fill it with Brawlers, Morgana. If you get a Brawler spat, and like say you didn't hit the Mordekaiser, Like this support that can help you fast 9. Like it's super cheap, and then you can go 9 and hit like the Mordekaiser and stuff like that. Yeah, really good comp. Probably more of like a top 4 comp, honestly. It's really hard to win with this just because you're like playing a melee carry, but super solid, high tempo. The next comp I want to talk about is Gadgeteen Gnar. It got nerfed, but I still think it's A tier just because like Gnar's not really like that much of a solo carry anymore. Also, utilizing Shift Morgana here frees up a slot on Gnar. Last item can be literally anything. DB, GS, QSS, second Titan, second BT, Edge of Night. Yeah. It's all playable. This comp got a lot better. It had to be nerfed this patch because they fixed a bug with Prankster. Like previously, Prankster used to be actually unplayable because it would just disable your Gadgeteen. They fixed that bug. You can play Prankster now. And this is like your standard board without the spat. Obviously, if you hit Gadgeteen spat, usually you do Gadgeteen like Sona, and then on level 8 you just play Alistar. Also in this comp, I kind of like pushing level 8 a little bit more than just slow rolling on 7 because you really want the Echo Alistar now after like the Prankster change. Yeah, a lot like definitely not SSS tier, but if you hit the Gadget +1, you hit like the Nunu, hit the R3, you can for sure still win games after the nerf. And then for niche comps I want to talk about, first is Quickdraw Ezreal. You want to play, like the only time I would consider this usually is when I'm either starting the game with like an Ezreal 2-1-2-1, say with like his carry hero augment or something, or I started from like an underground opener with extra resources. I think it's the best from underground, and you can like sack your early game a bit, cash out like maybe a 2 or 3 heist, and roll for like Ezreal 3, Vi 3. The standard version of this comp used to be with supers, but for Quickdraw, if you do the math, it's like 4 Quickdraw is just so much more damage. I think if you're like in a mega high roller and you hit like a Quickdraw +1, like a Fawn, or I don't know, like Super's Heart or something, like anything that gives you an extra unit slot, you can fit in supers. But otherwise, just stick to 4 Quickdraw. Like it's so much more damage than supers. You can still roll for like Lee 3 just as an extra 2-cost brawler that you can roll for, but yeah, just go for Vi 3 tank, Ezreal 3 damage dealer. It's really broken with Axiom, but even without it, it's still good. Last thing I want to talk about is a Heart Flex. You can play a lot of different carries with this comp, but basically we're just utilizing good AP units with like 4 heart scaling. A lot of the time it's just going to be Sona carry because she's just the easiest one to carry. But like say you're like hard stuck Sona 2 and you have no Sona augment, you can definitely pivot to Acel carry. If you get a bunch of items for Viego, you can do like Viego as a secondary. This is like the standard board I would think of without like any special admins or augments. Morgana benefits off heart pretty well. She and Sona basically have the same targeting, so they attack the same thing. Acel AoEs everything down. Helps with Viego. I like Echo Tank. Some people run Aatrox with this comp because Aatrox has some decent HP scaling, or decent AP scaling, sorry, because he heals more with more AP. But I actually prefer Echo because you get Star Guarding with Syndra, and his shield scales up AP as well. An important tech for this comp is you actually want to backline your Echo so that he casts after he gets like 5 to 6 heart stacks. So his shield's like much bigger. But yeah, basically you can go for Sona 3 carry, go for Acel, go for Viego. When this comp is super broken is with an admin that says like every 5 seconds your team gains mana. If you get that admin, I actually hard force hearts and just play up Blitzcrank LeBlanc over Annie Morgana, I guess. 20 mana per second scales super well with hearts, and it's one of the most broken combos in the game. I think I might have like a video of it on my YouTube somewhere. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a lot more comps in this game just due to all hero augments work, but like they're either like, I didn't really want to cover like the low tier or like the super niche comps, but like just to quickly go over, there's stuff like Ashe Reroll, Wukong Reroll, Poppy Reroll, Camille Draven Reroll with Hacker, Anima Squad, Kai'Sa, but I mean Kai'Sa's actually not that bad, but you guys know how to play Kai'Sa by now. Jax, I think Jax is pretty bad though, so I wouldn't play it. And there's stuff like Mech Bel'Veth Acel as well, but that's like probably like B tier now after the nerfs, and there's legendaries. I think this is a good list of comps though. Just to recap though, Renegade Jhin, S tier. Slingers S tier, Heart Lulu S tier, Duelist Comps A tier, InfiniTeam A tier, Mascot A tier, Laser A tier, Gnar A tier, and I think these 2 comps are actually closer to S tier than A tier, but they're super niche. Quickdraw Ezreal and Heart Flex. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. If you guys are interested in like more guide / like VOD review content, like let me know in the comments because it's something I'm considering about doing more. But yeah, it's gonna be it for me today. Peace.